Fit asks me, "Hey, is this what happened?" I'm like, "No, that's not what happened. We weren't trying to make everyone immortal. We were trying to lag the server and prio ban people." And Fit, his next response was basically, "Well, I'm not really interested in that angle. I don't know if there's a video to make if that's not the case." So I'm like, okay, sure, Daddy Fit. That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
That's so strange, yeah. Hello everybody, it's me, DigMC, and welcome back to another episode of the DigCast. Today we are joined by Forceken, or Forsaken, or Foreskin. Foreskin, say hi.
Hello.
Or just Ken. This is the second time we've recorded this podcast. The first one being because we had a really good 1.5 hour conversation, and turns out when I clicked record, it double clicked or something, or the video corrupted or some bullshit happened, and ended up breaking. So we're doing this again. Hopefully that doesn't make it worse, because I've already heard Forceken's opinions on things. So hopefully it should be just as good, and you guys won't even notice. I probably shouldn't have said anything, but anyway. So Forceken, you've had quite the career on 2B2T. You've done some interesting things. How would you describe it all in one word?
Autism.
And why would you say autism?
Because anyone that would play this server once and then click disconnect and choose to click connect again is purely autistic, and here I am.
So what makes you autistic? Why do you choose to keep reconnecting?
Well, I think the reason I keep reconnecting is because, well, initially 2B2T used to be a pretty uncensored server. You could literally come in here and say whatever you wanted in chat. You could spam, you could do whatever you wanted, and you wouldn't get banned. Now that's obviously changed, but I still find myself logging back in, every day to try again.
Would you say that's the main thing the server's kind of lost over the past few years, is that anarchy feel because of Housemaster's censorship?
I would say probably, yeah. Outside of the, player base, I mean, if you remember back in the peak of COVID, when that first started, the server compared to then is pretty dead in terms of player count. But I think that's what it's missing, is the anarchy part of the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft. And it's not even the oldest server in Minecraft, so what is it really? It's just the oldest.
It's just
Minecraft.
A server. Do you think it?
Yeah.
Do you think 2B2T still deserves to be called an anarchy server?
No, not at all. To be honest with you, it feels a lot like Hypixel or any other server at this point. You might not get banned or muted as quickly, but you will eventually get banned or muted if you're saying bad things in chat. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder why Housemaster does that. Because surely it's I don't know, because 2B2T is obviously, it's always been unadvertiser friendly, so I don't know why he's trying to kind of push for it not to be, or if he's even, it might not be even his fault. He might just have some plugins which kind of are way too oversensitive or something. I don't know.
It could be. I feel like he has a team, or I've heard that there's a team that actually runs the server, which would make sense. Outsource the administration. Could literally be just 6 packies just sitting there banning us and barely know English.
Or looking for keywords and
yeah,
making
exactly.
commands. I don't know about that one. I think I feel like yeah, okay. I mean, sure, I guess. Imagine doing the ultimate fucking insiding, becoming a worker at one of those outsourced data centers in Pakistan, and just fucking banning all the kids you don't like on the server. That'd be pretty nice.
Beautiful.
So 2B2T, in your opinion, has gone downhill because of the censorship. So what kind of keeps you coming back? You said, I know you didn't really answer the question when I asked you.
Okay. So I guess it's kind of like the first time you smoke crack, right? So the second time you smoke crack,
I can relate, sure.
second time you smoke crack, you'll be always trying to chase that high, man. you'll never get it again, but you still keep smoking the crack, right? You don't need a new reason, you just keep smoking the crack. But in any case, 2B2T is basically like that. Outside of the fact that, I've accumulated a group of friends and, associates and things like that throughout the time here that I've played. And, we still do find stuff to do in the Discords as well. So I think in one word, it would be the community that keeps me coming back. So.
Okay. In terms of the community, do you think it's how do you think it's changed over the time you've been playing the server? Because obviously you joined in like 2016, so I'm sure you've seen some kind of shift in the player base.
Sure. So, in 2016, obviously there was a huge influx of players from Russia, which is where I obviously came from, and a lot of those were younger kids, etc. But um, there is a section of the community which is older, 20, 30 years old. Heck, we were even talking yesterday about some 50 or 60-year-olds in here. But um, I think what has happened is over the years, the older players that have kind of stuck around just kind of disappeared from, censorship or whatever. Player base back then, after the Russia invasion, or if that's what you want to call it, early 2017, the player base percentage wise, there was a lot of older players on there. And I don't mean that in terms of like played for 5 years. I mean, the actual age of the person was a little bit older. And nowadays, like after all these invasions, whether it be Ant Venom or Etika, Mr. Beast, you name it, there's been plenty of them. I think the server has kind of reached a point where it really is just so many children nowadays, like actual kids, and they're not even here for the anarchy. They're here to, play the Fitmc YouTube clout simulator, and that's not what I got here for. That's not what I came here for. I mean, it's a fun side quest, but I will take 2B2T as anarchical as possible, even if it means sacrificing the bald man to the censorship lords.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people find it funny that you say that because obviously you're one of the guys that have kind of profited the most off of Fitmc, or have been able to appear in a lot of his videos more than most people do. So that's interesting that you say it's just a side quest for you, which is fair enough because obviously some kids do join with the intention of fucking being in the Fitmc videos. So yeah. So where do you kind of when did you sort of start like being like, oh yeah, let's get in a fit video? Like what did you? Obviously it was Fight Club, the first thing you did. So kind of where did that sort of come about?
Yeah, well, actually, um, way back in 2016, 2017, I was with a group of friends, and they they always used to talk about, getting into a fit video and stuff like that. And me, I just kind of wanted to do projects, projects, projects. Eventually, though, one of my good friends ended up getting into a fit video, and
Who was that? Sorry,
Stick Beats.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually in my most recent video. I made like a montage of stuff, and that video kind of covers a little bit of that story. But yeah, he built a base called Altaraz, and Fit ended up in going and touring it. This is back when Fit had very little subscribers, but um, maybe 40 or 50,000 views total, which is like nothing compared to nowadays, right? But so I kind of saw that, and I saw how it affected people's opinions, and um, I seen that people really looked up to that sort of thing. Like, it didn't really matter like what you did. If Fit talked about you, then people respected you more, and I thought that was very cringe. So,
Do you think
so
that's
I
true
want,
though? Do you think people actually get respect from being in fit videos?
yeah. I mean, you got to remember we're talking about a crowd of mostly children that look up to Fit, right?
Right, right.
There are those of us that, do look at it as like, yeah, whatever, it's cool, but like, I'm not going to worship you. But uh, these are kids, right? They're influenceable. It's their hero. They see you in a Fit video. It's definitely a real effect for sure. Um, but yeah, after that, I I didn't really like that. I don't like that. I used to be a huge chat fag back in 2016, 2017. So I was pretty much known already. Chat used to be mine. I literally owned it. So, I was well known back then, and I was perfectly fine with that, being toxic and, annoying people, spreading vaccine misinformation, that sort of thing. You know how it goes.
Vaccine
Yeah,
misinformation.
absolutely. I'm trying to kill some kids. With that said, though, I was, very annoyed with the way that things were going in that aspect. And um, I got told one day, I got told by somebody in a voice chat, I think it was like Emperor, even in Imperium. And he's like, well, how many Fit videos have you been in, Forceken? And I'm like, none. Why the hell would I be in a Fit video? He's like, oh, that's right. And then like 20 people in his Discord just started, you know how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Follow the leader, right? So after that, I'm like, all right, well, here's what I want to do. I want to show how easy it is to get into a Fit video. And I want to use it to basically make a political statement. I know that's pretty cringe on 2B2T, but that was my goal. So I came up with the Fight Club, and well, we had done Fight Club events back in 2016, but like it was really small. It would be like two people at spawn that we would force to get into a hole,
Like a
and
pit
then
and then the 0-0, yeah.
yeah, exactly, and that's been done before, so nothing original. But what I decided to do after that was do it a little bit more professionally, and we started kind of putting together a little bit of a LARP event. There would be, a few different arenas. Everyone that wanted to come would meet up at the first arena, and I spread maps to promote the event, and literally everyone was invited. This wasn't some like hierarchical thing where these people could come and those people couldn't. Everyone was invited, so that was fresh, right? The first event we had, we couldn't even count the number of players because we didn't have like at that point I didn't have like entity counter or whatever you would need, tracer counter. I don't even know how that works, but there were a lot of people there. It's the most people that I had ever seen at that point in one place at one time, and it went really well. But the overall point of Fight Club was kind of to show Fit up. So eventually, after a couple of months, the Fit actually reached out to us, reached out to me, joined the Fight Club Discord from a map that he actually found on his live stream. And he reached out and asked if he could come to the event. He came on a secret alt. And then Sal was actually there too, Sal C1. And yeah, he came to the event, made a video about it, and after that, the rest is kind of history. He promoted the Discord, made the Discord like exponentially increase from about, I don't know, 600, 700 people up to about 1,800 within the course of 2 or 3 weeks. And after that video, we actually did, after the first Fight Club video, we did a project with the Guardsmen, a co-hosting of a Fight Club, and this is about 2 months after the Fight Club began, and yeah, we did an event at a Obsidian Labyrinth. You can actually see that in a Fit video as well, and we did the Obsidian Labyrinth event, and that went well. People were trapped in the labyrinth. We had like Elder Guardians there, and water cubed the Obsidian Labyrinth so nobody could get out. And after that build, the second event of the night was actually a chunk ban, a cryo ban machine. It was a gigantic tower of pistons that all would be set off at once. So we would set it off, and then basically it would either crash the server or lag it or something. But what ended up happening was that when they pushed the button, all that happened was everyone there got kicked. So basically what I did was I used that as like a smoke screen to do what my ultimate plan was, and that was to kind of use the platform that Fit had gave me with all of these new fags joining the server to basically shit on the whole process. And I basically said, fuck the clout, fuck Fit, fuck 2B2T. You don't need to do what YouTubers want you to do. You can control what you do.
So how did you get this point across? Did you make like an announcement in Discord or something?
Yeah, so I basically, everyone was like kind of going crazy. They're like, oh my god, we're prio banned. Forceken prio banned us. No. When they weren't prio banned, but they got kicked. So, and key was really high at that point, like really high.
Yeah, this was like peak Corona, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, basically I took, I was in voice chat with 50, 60 people in the voice chat, and I just kind of laid it out. Said, hey, fuck the clout, fuck Fit, fuck Fight Club. Do what you want to do. Stop following YouTubers. And then I closed out of the Discord and nuked it and moved on with my life, I thought.
So you did all this on the same day as the Labyrinth event, yet Fitmc still went out and made a video and gave you clout for it?
Correct. But he didn't know about that part of it.
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't come to that. He only went to the Labyrinth.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So how did people get from the Labyrinth to the, this so-called second event? Did you just send calls in Discord after a few hours?
This is a common thing for Fight Club. So Fight Club was a series of 3 builds. There would be the first build, which would be completely public, and then the second build, which I would whitelist usually. However, this time I just gave the chords public because I wanted everyone to get prio banned. And then there's usually be 3 builds, but we never got past that second build because I got kicked and I got prio banned. So only the builders of the actual machine got prio banned that day. No one else.
Okay. I wonder how Housemaster knew who the builders were and who was just there on accident.
Probably was watching us, to be honest with you.
Watching you build the thing.
Correct.
Fair enough, yeah. Wait, so you were doing these weekly Fight Club events, and each of these weekly events had 3 different, sub-events, basically. Yep. Jesus Christ, that must have got... Indeed. I'm not surprised you got burnt out on that. Fucking hell. I mean, you didn't make the builds yourself, you just got members to do it, right?
Right, so I would make some, but there would be members, and then once the event got more popular, the community would literally just reach out to me and randomly just give me builds. They'd be like, oh, hey, can you use this for a Fight Club? Yeah, absolutely, why not? Made it easier on me, because, it takes time to build, and I didn't have Frank around back then, so I had to do everything pretty much myself.
Yeah. I mean, you said earlier about the Fit found your Discord through the map. Were you kind of the first person to advertise through maps? Because I think I'd never seen that. I remember when I saw the maps at spawn back in 2020, I was just thought it was so weird that someone was trying to advertise like that. I was like, oh, this is dumb, but shit, it clearly worked, huh?
Yeah, so maybe there are other people that had done similar stuff before, but I know for a fact that nobody had done it to the level that I did. At that point, I think my map count, or actually the only way I was able to count it was by the amount of item frames that I laid down, because it doesn't track how many maps you've laid down. It will track how many you made, but I think at the time I had laid down over 150,000 maps of the Fight Club maps. So Like they were definitely around.
So how did like Fight Club sort of, like, how successful was it like in the first couple of months leading up to the Fitmc video? Because I was under the impression that you started this thing and like 2 weeks after you started it, Fitmc caught on and like made a video, but no, it was a few months.
Yeah, it was a couple of months. So it was really popular, honestly. We went from literally 0 members up to almost 600, well, more than 600 actually, before Fit ever even did the video. So the map was very effective in getting people to join, and especially during the coronavirus, like there was so many people joining the Discord every day. So it was a very, very popular event back then.
Do you think without COVID you would have been far less successful?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. COVID just made everything like endless, right? There was like an infinite amount of eyes that were gonna see it. Even if they didn't like, even if 1 out of 5 people came, you were still gonna have a huge event compared to anything that had ever come before it, you know?
Yeah, I mean Q was like what, even prior Q at some point was like 250 that year.
Yeah, it
Was
was
She was
ridiculous,
crazy,
right?
yeah. So what was kind of like the biggest like challenge you faced like starting out Fight Club? Like what gave the most resistance?
Actually, the biggest problem was trying to reconcile the fact that I really liked anarchy with the fact that Fight Club had to be run through a Discord. I mean, there was no other way to try to organize people in a realistic way with that many people. So the Discord server ended up being quite a pain in the ass. I mean, I wanted anarchy, but then you had like Solar Hama, hopping in there and posting the Nirvana Nevermind album cover of the naked
Oh
baby
yeah, yeah.
just to like test
Jesus
me. It's like,
Christ.
bro, I gotta ban you. Like, I can't. And then, once Fight Club became popular, then you had Imperium. That was just like they didn't like me, so they would do everything they could to try to like dox anyone in the server. I remember one night, everyone was in there in the chat after an event, and Imperium just came in and started reading out people's docs. So
Oh my god.
moderation and trying to deal with the autism that kind of came with the popularity was a surprise to me.
Okay. And what about what was kind of the crowd of the Fight Club people? Because obviously I remember you mentioned you had some co-founders, right? So other than that, did you have like members who you kind of started with that you already knew on 2B, or was like the majority of people brand new, like random new fags who just found the map on the highway?
Yeah, so I did have a couple of people that started this with me. You had Brackflip, and then you had Rafe R41F. Um, these guys helped out with the first event. They kind of built the first builds for it. Basically, what happened is I met Brackflip. I met him at World Border Corner, and we kind of struck up a friendship there. He begged me for items and was fanboying out. I basically, on the way to the Neg Neg World Border, I griefed like every monument on the way there, and then I met up with Brackflip at like 20 million, 20 million, and yeah, we just kind of we decided to do this event together, and he got Rafe, the R41F guy, to go ahead and help us out with it, and yeah, basically after after I nuked the Fight Club Discord, they weren't too happy because um, they actually had intended to kind of overthrow me with a good old fashioned coup. They were
Oh,
gonna
were
go
they not
ahead.
aware of your like plan all along to just say
No,
fuck you to Fit?
no. So
Oh.
they were completely bought in, and not to mention they were pissed off about the fact that Fit never credited them properly in his video. So that was kind of unfortunate, obviously. And I never let them in on this whole idea that I was going to do. because after that happened with Fit, I never really trusted them because they really like spurred out after that, which I don't blame them. Like it sucks to do some shit and not get credited for it, but that's just kind of part of doing business with Fit. You don't necessarily have that much control, or especially back then, you didn't have that much control over the narrative that he was going to push. So.
Sure, yeah. I mean, bringing on to the whole Fitmc thing, so obviously you mentioned Fit kind of just found your thing, went there on an alt and all that. So was there no like collusion between you two, like before his video? Like he didn't ask you anything about like the history of the group or anything like that?
Actually, so Fit he literally asked 3 questions, and they're very specific, like nothing to do with, hey, who did this, who did that. It's more like, hey, when does the event take place? How did you decide who could come? And who builds the arenas? Like, that's it. And what I tried to do, and this is probably what caused the issue, is I was like, you know what? I know you're asking me for 3 questions, but kind of fuck you. And I wrote him like a paragraph, which should have included everything that he needed, including to credit myself, Rafe, and Brackflip. But he just didn't do that. He did his own thing, and he's done this before, so it's kind of just it's the way it goes, right? I mean, Fit isn't like some actual like historian. He's just some bald dude that gets paid to make videos on a toxic server. There's no accountability. Like,
So you did tell Fit about the other co-founders then?
yeah, absolutely, yep.
So when they started coming to you and were like, "Hey, bro, why did Fit only talk about you and stuff?" Why didn't you just like send a screenshot of your DMs with Fit and be like, "Hey, I told
I
him."
did. Yeah, I did.
Well, they
And
didn't weren't buying it.
well, no, in reality too, I actually gave them the paragraph on Fit to sign off on this. I'm like, hey, here's here's the um here's the history that I'm giving Fit. This okay, guys? And because there would be no reason to have issue with it. It was clear history, but that's just not what Fit went with. And he didn't even spend that much time on the history of it. It's just literally like, hey, a guy named Ken came up with Fight Club, and here's what it is.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The underground fight club. Sure.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, what was the same? Was it the same sort of process for the labyrinth video? Like, did you go to him with details about it, or again, did you
I
just
had
randomly tell him?
no input in that. That was all Orson. I had zero input on that.
What was Orson's relation to Fight Club?
So Orson's relation to Fight Club was that he reached out and he wanted to do a co-hosting event with the Guardsmen, which I was fine with, because that meant that they would spend their time making a build and I would help them do it. Um, and yeah, I at that point I was trying to make it as big as possible before I destroyed it, which obviously that's the goal.
So you
So
had the
yeah,
plan from the beginning to this, to nuke this thing.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So me and Redstoner had actually talked about this way back. Because initially, what I was gonna do, I didn't have any plan for a lag machine. I was just gonna basically build a gigantic swastika and bring everybody there, and then do the speech. And yeah, but that's pretty lame compared to when I talked to Redstoner in voice chat. He's like, "Oh yeah, could build a lag machine or something." I'm like, "Yeah, I could bring everybody to one of those. Let's do it." It sounded fun. Like, so that's what we ended up doing. And yeah.
So how did Fitmc kind of know of the event? Like, surely you must have told him about that.
What do you mean?
Like
What
the
event?
labyrinth event. Like, surely you told him, "Hey, this
Oh,
is happening."
Orson
Oh, it was.
invited
Oh,
him.
sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah. And I mean, I personally, by this time, I was like, uh, I would have invited him if Orson hadn't, because that would have
Sure.
been even funnier if I could get him to go to the lag machine. But he didn't go to the second event. He just went to the first one, just took the video footage there, and that's the video that showed up on uh, Fit's channel, the Obsidian Labyrinth.
Right, right. Okay, so what was kind of like the peak of? I mean, we'll get on to the post Fitmc videos, sort of the decline of it all in a minute. But
Yeah.
what was kind of like the peak Fight Club for you?
Ooh. Well, my favorite Fight Club was after that. We ended up doing later down the line. I don't know if you've ever seen Fight Club, but at the end, there's like a scene where you have,
Oh, of course, yeah.
yeah, you have Edward Norton's character and then the weird chick that are like looking out the
Yeah,
window
that's
as.
such a good bro. That shit gives me chills, man. It's such a
I
good
agree, I
film.
agree. Yeah, like so the city blows up. So I literally made like a facade of that scene, um, and we kind of made it out of concrete powder, because concrete powder is a falling block. So when it explodes, it just falls, which
Yeah.
is kind of the imagery we're going for. So that's probably my favorite event. It was built by and designed as well by Banana, the only banana on 2B2T. But yeah, that was kind of the peak for me.
The peak being the ending, base. So when you made that little video, the final scene, was that actually when you like finished Fight Club?
Oddly enough, no, it was actually we did that for 9/11.
Oh my
So
god.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So
Fight Club
that
ran through
worked
the
out.
summer, and at this point, were you
Yeah,
still doing the weekly events?
yeah. At that point, we were indeed.
Bloody hell. Yeah. So when did the weekly events kind of stop and turn into monthly events?
I think that kind of stopped after about 6 months or so, and then we
Six
did about,
months. Jesus.
yeah, and then we did about 5 or 6 months worth of monthly events. Sometimes we would double up. We would do a couple depending on, how I felt about it. But yeah, I was just starting to wind down. And like I said, when I did the whole Fight Club nuke the first time, when I nuked the Discord, no one really cared about like the moral statement that I was making about like fuck fit, etc. So by this point, I had kind of been like, okay, nobody here hates FitMC. They're all just like pretending. I'm like yelling at myself pretty much. No one cares. So I gave up on like the fuck fit uh, LARP at that point and kind of just enjoyed my event at that point.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people did and still do agree with like the point you're trying to make, but obviously at the same time, there's this fun event. Why stop doing it just to
Yeah.
prove some point? Like, who cares at the
Yep.
end of the day?
And
Yeah.
also, after we nuked the Fight Club Discord and the event, Jared 2013 reached out to me and kind of asked me to keep it going. And I mean, you can't really say no to a legend like Jared. At least I can't. I'm a huge fan.
Why
So
do you think Jared was a fan of Fight Club?
I think Jared likes. Uh, I think he likes turmoil and he enjoys things that are morally gray. So I think he was drawn to that, and he liked the idea that I was willing to destroy something that got so popular. Because you know how most people do it. They'll hold on to that until the end of time. You got like the crafting table cult, which just probably shut down within the past year. Well, that group has been like dead and irrelevant for years now,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, I like Elon, but it's just not the way that I would do things personally.
You prefer to
Like,
go out with a bang.
yeah, I prefer to go out with a bang.
Okay, so Jared makes. What? So Jared makes another Fight Club Discord.
Yeah, so what happened is Jared made another Fight Club Discord as well as Jake the Snake 52.
Wait, sorry. So they individually made their own, or they made it
They
together?
they made their own. So Jake the Snake started like actually impersonating me. He changed his Discord tag to Forceken. And yeah, he literally started trying to take over the event with this new Discord. And me
God.
personally, I didn't want that. I didn't want the destiny of Fight Club to continue with Jake the Snake 52, trying to soak up the clout. It's like, to me, that's not what I wanted. So I agreed to go ahead. continue the Fight Club, and that's when we pretty much started doing the monthly events. So.
Okay. So what was the reason behind doing the monthly events? Were you just burnt out on doing the weekly ones?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I had other stuff that I was trying to do at the same time, just as like a normal 2v2t player.
Yeah.
And and it was just taking way too much time. Like, uh, just so many hours a week, constantly, and I didn't have anyone helping me because Brackflip and Rafe had both like fucked off after missing out on the fit clout. So just
Did you ever consider like delegating the responsibilities of running the thing to a few other people that you were close with, or maybe some like people that had been there from the start in Fight Club, or was it like it's your baby and you don't really know of anyone that could do it?
It's not even that I didn't think anyone could do it. It's more I'm a very like particular person, and I'm very concerned with the way things look. So I just didn't want someone else putting their grubby fingers all over it and changing it into something else,
Right, fair enough. Yeah, so it was your baby. You wanted to keep it that way. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, did you was there an expectation from sort of the members in the community that because you were doing these monthly instead of weekly events, that the quality of the events would go up, when in reality you just wanted to spend less time doing it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people would show up sometimes and they'd be like, what the fuck is this? And it literally, we would be sitting at like 100 overworld, and like I just build like a square with a hole in it. Like, the whole point of Fight Club was never to build a beautiful base all the time. Like, that's the cherry on top if we decide to do that. Like, I know you got to remember, like the first time in Fight Club when Edward Norton and Brad Pitt fight, it's outside of some like dingy old diner in a parking lot with like cigarette butts all over the place. Like, it wasn't in some mansion. Yeah.
But people had kind of come to expect the big builds, because that's what sort of Fitmc talks about and what you had built a reputation around.
Right. Well, I mean, it isn't even me did it. Like, Jay Featheralt. I think his main IGN is like Jay Feather Cats or something like that. But he's one of the builders that kind of first started building these larger structures for fight clubs, and one of his builds ended up in a fit video, so that kind of set the expectation that, not only is it going to be a big build, we're all going to be in a fit video. It's like
right, okay, yeah.
So
people were still kind of clinging on to that, oh my god, fit clout, as part of
exactly
wider content. Fair enough. So the monthly events, were you still enjoying yourself whilst doing them, or were you putting them on sort of because you felt like it was your responsibility, like maybe you felt like you needed to put them on to keep the
a little bit of
thing
both,
alive?
actually. I did enjoy them. I liked a lot of the events that we did after the monthly event, because in actuality, it did give me more time to think about concepts and things. But I wasn't like spending, the same amount of time on it that I would if it was a weekly event. But it did give me more time to think of some higher concept stuff that we could do. So yeah, it was definitely declining in my interest, though, for sure.
Sure. I mean, when you do something that often for 8 or so months, and how long did the monthly events last?
About 6 months or so.
Okay, so in total, Fight Club was what, like a year?
Yeah, a little over a year. We did a few little trailing events after that. I don't know if you remember the what was it, the 5-year Russia War anniversary event.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that was you guys.
Yeah, yep, it was the Fight Club.
Oh, it was. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Fit went to that as well. So even after condemning Fit, he was still happy to get content from you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So when did you kind of okay, let's move on to your next project that you were kind of known for after that. Or it's not really a project; it's just a small thing you did. The whole like Block 36 thing. So where did that kind of come about? Where you built like the whole castle out of them and shit?
Yeah, so I remember like a long time ago, 2016, 2017, thinking about like making textured map art. So map arts of actual block textures and just kind of making a base out of them. And I had that idea for a while. I didn't do anything with it. But then in, I think about 2019, 2018 maybe, I was chilling with Housebolt at a base, and he showed me how to make a floating swastika. So I had the idea of making uh, block textures into map art. So you could make custom blocks then, kinda. And I saw Housebolt making these floating lava swastikas, and I was very intrigued by it. And I kind of asked him a little bit about it, and he let me know that the lava is actually sitting on an invisible block called Block 36. And when I basically found that out, I had an epiphany. I'm like, oh, I could make an invisible base with this, because if you put a map on an item frame, you can only walk about 25 or 30 blocks away, and that will actually disappear. The item frame and the map will disappear, so it will look like nothing's there. And he kind of showed me how to make them, and I kind of put it together in my head, like, okay, I could use this to make an invisible base. Well, only problem is there was no way to interact with the block, so I had to figure out a way to do that, and I actually didn't get any momentum on that until probably 6 months later. So when my friend Sanku GG ended up basically coming up with a module for a hacked client that allowed you to interact with this invisible block. And when he did that, he basically allowed us to create them, and then we could interact with them. We could either walk on them, so you could make like an invisible platform pretty much that only you could walk on, or you could place item frames on them, and the item frames would stay there. So that is kind of what enabled me to actually do the project. So I built the invisible castle, got to work on it, and about 6.5 months into the project or so, I found out that Senku had likely leaked the module to Baki of the Infinity Incursion. And when I found that out, I was obviously a little concerned that my project would be ruined, because I figured if they got patched, they would, I thought what would happen is the item frames would just fall off. But what I ended up doing, and also that would just basically take the idea, and Fit would make a video on whatever they were doing, and my project would just be obsolete.
They wanted to make like an invisible highway, right? That only they could walk
correct.
on. Yeah, it's a bit lame.
The Infinity Incursion was going to make an invisible highway that they could walk on, which I thought was pretty lame, because that was like the most obvious thing that you could do with this thing. And I felt like my idea was way more creative. So I went ahead and I leaked the base to Fit, and he came out and saw it, and he decided to make a video on it.
So how long did that take to build, that whole fucking thing?
Took about 6 months. I worked on it. I didn't not like straight through.
Yeah.
I would get so discouraged, because the problem is like, if you accidentally right click the block without holding shift down, it deletes the block 36, and if it was one of the blocks that was lower on the building, you would have to do every block above it all over again, because the only way to make the block 36, you have to have access to the block on top of it. So that caused a lot of issues. It took me so long to deal with.
Infuriating, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when did your so that was the last ever Fitmc video you were in, right? And I know we're talking a lot about Fitmc videos, but it's kind of a good
No,
thing to talk about with you. Was that not the last one?
no. So you got the 2BTT times one. You got the wedding
Oh.
one. Yeah. There's been a lot more than I could even keep track of. I was even
Okay,
the
but when did your relationship with him sort of like end?
I mean, Fit and I are still like we still talk at times now, but it isn't like it isn't like I'm in his DMs all the time like I
Sure.
used to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're referring to what I think you're referring to, then I would say me and Fit probably separated when one day we were in voice chat talking about a project, and my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, but my girlfriend at the time was playing some MOBA game, mobile online battle arena, probably some League of Legends knockoff, and basically she was probably losing, and she started just screaming the N word over and over,
Oh my god.
and I know Fit could hear her in the background and went silent. Literally about a minute or two later, he's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta go now," and that's literally the last time I've ever talked to him in
Oh, that's
voice
so
chat. So
awkward.
yeah, but he has made a video about me since then.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What was that whole story you said when we first recorded this? It was like he was making a video on your things and you gave him a story and then he was like, nah, this is the story. And you were like, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So what you're talking about is the immortality machine.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk
yeah.
about that.
So Redstoner and I, a consistent person that you'll see in my story here, Redstoner and I were coming up with new ways to try and torture new fags, using Fight Club as like a bait, right? Because everybody wanted to come to Fight Club to get a free kit or kind of see what was going to happen next, whatever. At that time, we were. This is during No Server November of I think 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, 2020. Um, and so we were using what's called an EMP. It's basically a bunch of slime on top of a bunch of pistons, like stacked up on each other, so it all extends at once whenever you click a button. That just kills the server. Like literally, you will be like experiencing a past life. It lags so bad. But so what we did is we built one of those under a Fight Club arena, and at that point, we brought everyone there, and once everyone was there, we basically turned it on. Well, what this thing does is it basically is just a lag machine. But what Redstunner was able to do, because after we did this event, we tried to sell it to Fit. We brought a bunch of people there. We activated the machine. It was laggy as heck, and we were making people angry. It was a huge success, but Fit did not want to make a video about that. He basically told us, "Hey, I'm not doing a video on lag machines. I don't want to promote that." And a month later, I get a message from Redstoner basically telling me, "Hey, can you come in and verify some information for us?" And what they had done is they had convinced Fit that, you know, what we were doing was trying to turn everyone immortal, basically. So it's basically a graphical glitch that occurs when you activate this machine. It makes your hitbox unable to be seen or like targeted. So um, basically, Fit asks me, "Hey, is this what happened?" I'm like, "No, that's not what happened. We weren't trying to make everyone immortal. We were trying to lag the server and ban people." And Fit, his next response was basically, "Well, I'm not really interested in that angle. I don't know if there's a video to make if that's not the case." So I'm like, okay. Sure, Daddy Fit. That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
That's so strange. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it was a little bit awkward because I felt a little bit dirty. It's like, wait a minute, is he asking me to like lie?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, like it was a little bit unfortunate. And after that, I was not really into the whole content thing for a while.
Did that kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth? Of obviously you thought Fitmc was a bit ass to begin with, but did
Yeah.
that kind of sell it for you?
Yeah, absolutely it did. I felt like very discouraged about that, and I wasn't gonna like shit on Redstoner. Like I would ride or die with Redstoner. So if he told me to like lie, I was gonna lie. No
Sure.
big deal. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's only lying to 12-year-olds. It's fine. I think
Yeah.
anyone with a brain on 2B knew that it wasn't an immortality machine.
Exactly.
And hey, your lying got it. I think it's one of the like top 5 most viewed videos
It
on this
is.
channel.
Yeah.
Shit's insane.
It is. Yeah.
Fucking
Crazy.
immortality machine. It's so retarded. But,
Indeed.
yeah. So was that that was before or after? That was after the labyrinth, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yep.
so that's it in terms of Fight Club then. So you got in total like 3 videos out of it?
Yeah. Yep. 3 or 4 videos, indeed.
Damn, man. And all because Jared was like, yo, keep this,
Yeah.
get this thing back. Shit, fair
It's true,
enough.
actually. Yeah. Like that's why I always say it. I'm thankful for Jared for doing that. Actually.
Based. Okay, so after Fight Club stopped, what was your next thing on 2B? What was your purpose?
Oh man. Let's see. That's a good question. So, after Fight Club, basically after Fight Club, what I did was I did this thing at Spawn, where I did like I put like 50,000 item frames in like 6 chunks at Spawn, and for some reason, when you do that, your character model shows up in 2 dimensions. So
Wait, what?
yeah, so it was laggy too, so it was a huge lag machine. But so I was sitting there laying down the item frames, and someone messages me, and they're like, "Hey, how are you going through the Nether roof?" I'm like, "I'm not in the Nether." They're like, "Yes, you are," and the player sent me footage of it. Supa46. They sent me footage of it, and it turns out, yeah, my character model was going through the Nether roof, and I was in the overworld. So I was very surprised by this, and I spent the next few weeks trying to. So what happened is after that night, it was so laggy because obviously it's at 0-0 overworld, so everyone goes there. Like you could spawn there, so the server was like lagging on and off for like 3 days straight, and then Housemaster just goes there and clears all of the item frames. So I no longer had a way to like test it, because what I was doing is I was trying to test it out to see like what I could do and whatnot, maybe a dupe or something. But House just literally cleared all the item frames out, and I spent the next few weeks trying to build another one up, but I never could get it up to that level. Housemaster had caught on, and that's the reason why in 2022 you cannot put more than 2,000 item frames in any chunk.
So it was essentially a chunk ban, basically.
Correct.
It goes a bit deeper than that. Were you also the one that did like the thing with the maps that fucking did the big green like the green markers if you stack them on top of each other?
No, that was actually City Boss.
Oh right, yeah,
Yep.
I remember when that happened. That was fucking
Mm-hmm.
some weird shit. Okay, so did you try and ever reach out to Fit about that whole item frame thing, like to get another video?
I did actually, but he ignored me. So
Yeah. He was still PTSD from your girlfriend.
yeah, probably.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's just how it goes with him. Sometimes he'll pay attention, sometimes he won't. You just gotta come to expect it. He probably has thousands of people messaging him a
Yeah,
week.
that's very
So,
true. Thousands of
yeah.
ideas and shit like
Yep.
that. Yeah, fair play. Okay, so when did you? I guess I'll just ask what you did after that. Like, bring us to today. What have you been up to?
Well, after that exploit there, um, basically the next major project that I did on my own was the 2B2T Times, the 2B newspaper. We started that. I started that with Franknificent, and well, I did the first story myself, which is about 2B2T needing to update, and I kind of spread that around, and I got a huge like response from the community from it. We got like 100 people into Discord within the first week, um, and I was spreading, the map art that had the newspaper on it all over Spawn. So it was just growing and growing. Um, Good heck, 25 weeks went by of
Really,
this, and
of weekly new articles.
yeah, weekly
Wow.
articles. So we would literally have to, Frank and I would literally have to destroy the old article and rebuild the new one at the same location, each week, and we did that for a good 25 weeks. And throughout that, people kept constantly trying to reset the maps to steal the ID,
Yeah.
because
So how did you secure the same ID for all that time?
yeah. So basically, what I was doing is I had a bot that was online all the time, not not like on a proxy or anything. It was just online all the time, except for when it got auto kicked. And it would keep track of the map IDs. So it would literally just make a map every couple of hours, check where the IDs are at, and then I would get an alert whenever they started getting reset. Basically, whenever they went into the negative ID, then I got a notification. And when that happened, I would just go and reset the rest of the maps up to the point where my ID was, so this way we would always have the map. And if I missed it, I would just reset all the maps.
Right. Okay. That's a
Yep.
really good system. Yeah. How did you actually like generate the maps? Do you literally make them manually in like Creative?
The maps, or what? The
Like
newspaper.
the images? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do is use a program called, oh god, I think it's called Pixel Art. And it lets you use like small font. They have like a five type font. So that's what I use for that, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just called pixel art, and you can pretty much do pixel art,
Oh,
and
fair
that's what
enough.
we
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
So what was like? Obviously, excluding your final article, which I want to get to that later and have kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
whole section on that thing. What would you say was your sort of most controversial map that you put out there, like
Oh boy.
2 times?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I mean, so the initial point of the 2B2T Times was to be an actual news source for like 2B2T things, and not like water it down and make it about like the immortality machine thing, right?
Mm.
Like, um, give actual news with actual facts. Um, but I mean, 2B2T is a toxic place, so sometimes the news is a bit toxic. For instance, the second article that I made was on Baki and the whole like Jack book situation.
Oh yeah.
Where apparently Jack had wrote some very inappropriate stuff in a book, basically sexual stuff, and in like a third or fourth page that you're not going to look at. And he had gotten Baki to sign it, and at that point, basically Baki had a book saying that he wants to like lick a child's ass or something or whatever it's gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's one of the stories that we made, and then also at that point, Baki had gotten busted like in a Discord chat with like somebody watching like some hentai game or something, So that was the big news that week, and at that point, I had beef with Infinity Incursion. So, like,
So you
that.
enjoyed making that and putting it out there.
Well, the funny part is the community actually voted for that topic.
Oh, right,
The
okay.
the 2B2T Times actually, we don't choose the story, and at the beginning there was just literally a chat where you could write your choice for the story of this week, and then people would vote on it. And whichever one got the most votes, that's what we went with. And it just so happens that week that the Baki story got the most votes. So uh, it is what it is. But and then we did a story on Jake the Snake and his transgressions on YouTube as well. Like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. What was your affiliation with Jake the Snake? 'Cause I know you played a part in the whole like vertical challenge situation.
Right. So I kind of fancy myself as a bit of a 2B2T social justice warrior. I try to look out for the children on the server to make sure that, I mean, 2B2T, for his for an anarchy server, it isn't an anarchy server, but nobody's paying a whole lot of attention, right? We've had people before in the community. I mean, I mentioned them before: Solar, Hama, etc. Just stuff that I realize as an adult that it's like, hey, this is not okay to be around children. Ghost Mafia.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that was kind of um, my outlook on it, and I saw that Jake had exposed himself on a YouTube stream. Jake was a very popular 2B2T streamer. He would do live streams every day. He did like a 30-day live stream
Yeah, Christ.
non-stop. And on one of those days, he, showed his cock on cam, which, I didn't appreciate. But, not only that, a few months later, he did it again. And at this point, I felt like a confrontation had to happen. Because what you're doing might not be illegal, but to me, it's not moral. It's not okay.
And
So,
like the the chances of that happening once is slim, and the fact
yeah,
that it happened twice, like it's easy to
exactly.
see why people thought like he was doing it intentionally.
Yeah, and when it comes to a child Minecraft server, like, I don't really want to take any chances with that. So, it seems like what happened is Jake got into this voice chat to try and like clear his name. And there were tons of people in there, like everybody. Frank was in there.
I mean, it was
Um,
top news at the time, wasn't it?
exactly, like everybody was in there, and Jake was trying to like bully these people and whatnot, and he eventually, after a few hours of us kind of stating our case as to why maybe he should leave 2B2T, he became frustrated and started threatening that he was going to kill himself and blame us for it. And
Jesus.
he literally, at one point, got up onto his closet, got up into his closet, tied his belt around his neck, and hung the belt from the clothes rack on his closet and tried to hang himself. Mind you, Jake is fat as fuck, and this like clothes hanger rod was not going to be able to hold him. Like, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So after that, Jake tried to basically convince everyone that he killed himself.
What did he
And I
go on
didn't
his Discord? Was like, hey, this is Jake's mum. Like Jake's dead.
actually. You want to know what? He turned his webcam off to dark, and then he was like in the background, like trying to do a grown-up voice. He's like, "Hey, this dude killed himself. You guys are in so much trouble." Oh, I'm like, dude, this
Oh
is
my
not
god.
okay. Like, you're literally like abusing children. You're literally mentally like manipulating them right now. So that's kind of where that whole thing came from, and yeah, it was really toxic. And mind you, I'm not proud of it, but the thing is like, we in this community, we really have to watch out for stuff like that. because it is a place that is like it's rife to that.
Sure.
Like you could do shit like that, and people may not even notice. They might think it's a meme. But yeah, I just wasn't having it.
Yeah,
So
it's quite sad
yeah,
that we've like had this same conversation on I think 3 episodes of this podcast so far about
yeah.
kind of
So
child safety on TV. Like for real, it's a big issue.
exactly, somebody's got to care about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So the 2B2C Times, that kind of it had a really good run, and then one time you released a somewhat controversial map that Housemaster wasn't a fan of. So can you talk about that and how it led to the end of the 2B2C Times?
Yep. So about 2 weeks after the fit video for the 2B2T Times, um, we decided to make a article on the rules of 2B2T. It would be loosely based off of a Discord called Two Builders 12 Rules, which is run by Mahan, one of the brown men, um, and probably a few other brown men helped do it. But yeah, so it was kind of based on that, and my own experiences, because I've gotten banned on 2B2T. I've gotten prio banned. I've gotten chat muted. I've gotten blacklisted. So I know that there are rules on 2B2T. They're just not posted, so we don't know them. So I made this map, and after I made the map, literally the next day, my all my accounts were prio banned. The maps got reset, and I decided that that was enough. So I decided to leave the base and end the project, because I felt like it was obvious at that point that I'm not going to fight against the server owner to make news about a server that he doesn't want me on.
Sure. That's insane though that something like that literally just calls out players' experiences can be censored to that extent. Like it's fucking yeah.
Yeah, so I think what House didn't like is that the Times actually reached a lot of people. I had some statistics from Turban, the owner of the 2B2T archive, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he reached out to me and kind of let me know that, hey, like 85% of the bases that get submitted to me have a copy of your map on there. And to me, that was really a good moment, because I didn't really care if Fit fans, watched the actual 2v2t news, but it was nice to know that the community was, taking notice of this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, during the kind of height of that, it was normal for active players to have one in their e-chest just to like kind of look at every week. Like that, I certainly did. So yeah, it was genuinely something that was checked. So yeah, you're right. It reached a lot of people.
Indeed.
So what do you when we talk about the whole censorship of 2B2T and how 2B2T's kind of lost its sense of anarchy in recent years, what do you think the motive is for Housemaster? Why do you think he does censor 2B2T as much as he does?
I think that he is trying. Well, I mean, think about it. So back in the day when like lag machines and stuff used to get made or exploits would be found, they wouldn't get patched for ages. Like you can go back to like Armorsmith, the Carolina lag on, like that thing would run for a week without ever being world edited or anything. And I think he probably just got tired of dealing with the moderation, so he kind of just goes. He kind of goes the lazy way, which I don't blame him for because I probably would too, and just bans people. But yeah, I think that's probably. What was the question again?
Why do you think he does it?
Oh, for money. Yeah. To save him time and money. Obviously, he runs the server as a business now, which is different than it used to be. It used to be like a passion project for him. He started 2B2T to try to make an anarchy server a place with vanilla survival, no rules, no moderation. And now it's become like an actual business for him that he wants to keep maximally profitable, which, it's his business. He can do what he wants with it. But for me, that's not ideal, obviously. I like to do toxic shit. That's why I'm here. But what he does definitely will allow the server to be more playable. It will allow the normie people to have a better experience while they go play basically single player on a server where people can swear for now. But that's about it. So.
Yeah, I mean the prior banning is only one side of it though, because I think most people, obviously there's some exceptions, like it seems like yourself, but I feel like the majority of people, when Housemaster started prior banning, like for lag machines, like majority of the community were like okay with it. I think it's mostly to do with the muting that most people have issue with, which is the other side of the story. So I just don't understand what benefit does House gain by muting. I get muting spammers and I get muting advertisements, and I think that's cool. I was a fan of it when he first started doing it, but just censoring people, like for saying Walden in chat or talking about edgy things, like why do you think he does all that?
I think that he sees the future, and he knows that the time is limited for a server where you can actually have that form of anarchy. Speech in 2022 is one of the most dangerous things that you can have. Think about if they got in contact with the White House and were like, yeah, they're spreading vaccine misinformation on 2B2T or something, right? Like, or if we update to the new versions, which apparently he has plans to, sometime
TM.
before the end of the century, but
yeah.
If it ever updates to that, then this server doesn't exist anymore, or half the people that are on it are going to be banned. So I think that that's why he wants to do it. It's a profitability thing, but I mean, I don't give a shit about any of that. I didn't join 2B2T for it to be profitable. That's his business. Make it profitable. But other people can agree as well. But my thing is like those people that agree with the censorship and the prio bans, the muting, etc. That's what made me join in 2016 was the toxic spam, the lag machines, the fact that you could do whatever you wanted. If you don't want to do that, I feel like there are servers that you can go to that are catered to you. You can go play Hypixel, you can go play Mindplex. 2B2T should be a safe space for us fucking retards. That's how I feel about it.
So you clearly have a good understanding of, or a good idea of why Housemaster would want to, I keep fucking saying Fitmc is a Housemaster.
Fitmc is Housemaster.
It could be. Yeah, so you seem to have a good understanding of what you think Housemaster, why you think Housemaster's doing this. So do you, can you accept that what he's doing is potentially long-term a good thing for the server because it means the server will actually be able to exist into the future?
So that's a complicated question. Some of the most fun I've had on 2B2T was during some of the most dead times on the server. In 2017, after all the hype had died down, there were times where you would log in during peak time and queue might be like 20. We're talking regular queue. If I were to log in on regular queue right now, probably at about 300, 400. So I personally, again, he probably does do it for the quote-unquote good of the server. But again, I think we're talking about trying to save two different servers. And the one that I want to save is basically being destroyed.
The one that he's willing to sacrifice.
Exactly. He's sacrificing the server that we all joined for, which, hey, you know what? The turnover rate for 2B is probably really high. Only a few retards sit around for as long as I do. Most people come on once and realize that all it is just like single player with a little bit of lag, and yeah, then they move on. So I can understand the business decision.
So, do you see a possibility of there being a compromise? Like, what would you suggest as a compromise? Like, would you say that Housemaster should maybe review his prior banning systems, his like muting, like his chat mute plugin? Because obviously, it's all, I think all the chat muting's done, basically automatically. Because I feel like he's overly harsh with it. Do you agree?
Yeah, oh yeah, like there are things that he could do to improve the quality of life for people that actually still do want that anarchy. I don't think that you should be getting banned for, like my friend Keezer, he gets banned for like having Mitch Hedberg jokes on like a spammer with a very generous timer. He like he like tries to play the game, tries to be within the standards of what House is wanting you to do, but it always seems he still gets muted. So it's like, what do we need to do actually to not be muted?
I don't know. I mean, I'm my theory. The reason I'm muted is because I posted the 12 rules of 2B2T in chat like a year ago, and I've been muted ever since then. I broke the last rule. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So I don't know, because
that's fucked.
Yeah, yeah, it's really annoying. And in fact,
exactly.
the whole situation, how kind of dire it was, really hit me when because obviously I took about a 10-month break from 2B from last September
I
to
remember.
early summer. When I first joined back, I bought priority queue on my alt because obviously my main's like not prior banned or anything, but it's muted in chat. And historically, I always enjoyed speaking in chat, just
exactly.
shit posts and stuff. So I bought it on an alt, and when I bought it on an alt, I like said hi, like sent a few messages, blah blah blah, and shit was dead. So I said dead chat XD, and then this guy just messages me, and this is when this was kind of the oh shit moment. This random guy just messages me, yeah, bro, it's because we're all muted, and I'm like, holy fuck.
Are you sure that wasn't me on an alt? Because I have a habit of doing that.
I've no idea, but yeah, that kind of struck me. I was like, shit, Housemaster's really shot himself in the foot with this.
Yeah. No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, really.
Do you see it only getting worse?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's just like this is why I'm in America. So I mean, the whole like gun rights thing, right?
Sure.
This is why in America, and it's a meme by now, but why we're so like, no, don't give these motherfuckers an inch, because it's like the second that you give somebody that, okay, so maybe the N-word is the bad word today. Well, maybe talking about the rules is the problem tomorrow. Well, maybe anything that you say that is at all like critical of the admins is the measure of what gets you banned the next day. Okay, well, maybe building a swastika is what gets you banned the next day. It's like, where does it end, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's the saying, like, give an inch, take a mile, or some bullshit?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's why. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's how kind of prior banning became a thing, because obviously back in the day, like 2017, that was when House started testing the waters with like, oh shit, will I get away with doing this? And obviously most people were for it. People were like, oh yeah, cool, prior ban people who love the server, fair enough. And he took that, and he's turned that into, oh well, I can prior ban people for this, and people don't mind, so let's just prior ban people for fucking like anything. And that's
exactly
where the problems come from.
Indeed.
So okay, moving on from the state of the server, I asked you this last time, and you kind of gave a bit of an ambiguous answer. So I'm going to ask it again and say, what is the one player on 2B2T that you hate the most?
Fitmc.
Oh, really? Even though he's kind of done so much. Well, I'd say he's done a lot for you. Obviously, not intentionally. Like, he's done it for himself, but inadvertently, he has given you a lot of what you've got from 2B.
True. You're absolutely right about that. I think I like Fit in general. Fit's a cool personality. Back in the day, he used to be based as fuck. Like, you can get videos of Fit, like the reading of Jared 2013's diary, like stuff like that. Um, but the thing is I think Fit, being as big as he is what has caused to go down this road of censorship. None of this happened after the Russia invasion.
Mm.
None of it happened after the ant venom invasion. This has all kind of happened once Fit himself has gotten to the point where he's at, a million and a half subscribers, and he's basically a constant stream of revenue for 2B2T itself, right? He's their cash cow, and 2B2T is his cash cow, and YouTube kind of dictates in a way, YouTube and Minecraft have dictated this way of monetization, and Fit is kind of the apex of that monetization necessity. So I feel like if Fit were to be deleted, then the server would be able to go back to normal. It may die off, but you can't tell me that the server wouldn't still be alive, because I was around when it existed with only 20 people in regular queue, and the server was still there. Nobody was talking about it shutting down. So that's why I would say Fit.
Okay, so you dislike Fit for what he's done to the server rather than what he's done to you, and you
Yeah,
directly
yeah.
blame him for the state of the server, basically.
Yeah, in a way I do, yeah.
Okay. Would you do anything differently to what he has if you were in his shoes?
No, not at all. I would maximize my profit. I would tell all you guys you're cringe.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop being toxic and let me make my money.
Fair enough. I mean, that's what he does. So yeah, fair.
Yeah.
What about South C1? Were you a fan of him?
I mean, I like Sal, but I've had some interesting experiences with him. He seems a little bit more of the straight lace type, which I don't generally like vibe with too well.
What do you mean straight lace?
Well, like just very well mannered, and that this is the only time you're gonna hear this used as like a negative. I understand, but like I just don't want like a white collar dude that's like well mannered Christian. Um, it doesn't vibe with me.
On
And,
2B.
and yeah, and indeed, and Sal, like we had some kind of funny experiences over the years, like the Fight Club thing. He showed up to Fight Club with Fit as well. The time that Fit came, the very first time Fit did a video, and people were kind of asking Sal like, "Hey Sal, are you gonna do a video?" Blah blah blah, and Sal's like, "I don't even know what the fuck this is. Like, why would I make a video? What? I don't even know what happened." It's like, okay, why the fuck you here then, bro?
Just I mean, Sal's. I don't think he is anymore. But there was a time when Sal was much more of a player,
Oh, I
than
agree.
anything
Yeah,
Fit was ever. So he participated in community events and shit. He probably was just there for the shits and giggles.
probably indeed. But I felt a little attacked there. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't even ask you to come, bro. But this is cool.
Well, I mean, it's open to the public, right? Like he can
Yeah,
just.
yeah, exactly.
Just because he has a few subscribers doesn't mean he should be treated any differently. So I think I don't know. I see that as quite based, him showing up and being like, yeah, I'm not making content out of this. I'm just having fun.
Yeah, and that was fine too.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so what's one player? You spoke a lot about Jared 2013 earlier. I'm going to ask you two questions here. A being, who is the one player you see yourself the most in? And B being, do you see yourself in Jared 2013?
Oh God. So I think I gave an answer like this last time. So I can't really say I see myself in any one person specifically. But when it comes to like playing on the server, I think Anime Titty. He does a lot of like similar shit that I do. If you're aware of the pit fight, which just got a Fit video, you know. He basically was inspired by the Fight Club. Anime Titty also uses things like what would it be? Satanic imagery, that sort of thing, upside down crosses, etc. But when it comes to like personality wise, I'd probably say Franknificent probably is the closest to me in that way.
Okay.
He takes 2B2T as like a real player. He doesn't approach it from the social cleansing aspect that like most of these people do these days. He'll say what he means, and he doesn't give a shit if he burns bridges. That's kind of how I am too. You can see miles of burned bridges behind me. So, yeah.
Yeah, so would you say you and someone like Frank's really based, by the way. I know he's listening to this right now, but would you say you and him are less scared of social consequences than the majority of people? Social consequences on 2B2T.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go back and listen to, the Jake the Snake voice chat where he tried to hang himself, you had people that were in there and were unironically threatening me. They're like, Forceken, you're going to go to jail. You literally made him hang himself. I'm like, you can hear it in the voice chat. I'm literally like, I'm here for the show.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. I'm not making him hang himself. I'm just not telling him to get off.
What do you have to say to the people that kind of put on a fake person? Because 2B2T historically was always when you get to drop the fake personality you have in your real life and you get to be your true self, your true anarchy self. And nowadays it's there's a lot of people pleasing that goes along. A lot of people suck up to other people for clout, to be involved in things. What do you have to say to those people?
I'd say life is too short to join an anarchy server just to subject yourself to somebody else's rules, and you should probably do what you want to do.
Well said. Yeah. Okay. So overall, would you say that 2B2T has had a net positive or a net negative impact on your real life?
I mean, I think it's probably a negative on it.
Wow, you're the first person to have answered that.
I mean, it takes a lot of time I could probably be spend doing other shit that's productive. And yeah, I mean, in reality, like, what does it do, right? It's just a toxic, like, server, and not to mention nowadays, it's just like torturing yourself, basically. Like, I can get on in any of my 13 names that I bought from the actual Minecraft website, log on to 2B2T. Firstly, I can't buy PrioQ. Secondly, once I get in, I can't even type a message. So I'm just like subjecting myself to pain, basically.
Yeah, Housemasters really fucked you, huh?
Yep.
So, what would you say you've kind of gained from 2B2T then? If sure, you've spent a lot of time on it, spent a lot of money on it. Clearly, if you've gone through 13 accounts, but what has 2B2T given you, if anything?
Yeah, 2B. So it has given me an outlet for something that used to not be able to outlet anywhere else, and then also just it sounds weird, but like social skills, just from the fact of having to deal with so many absolutely fucking retarded people constantly. You really get this like ability to just cope and just continue. It's like, yeah, you just doxed me, but so what? You're gay.
It builds maybe a thicker skin, perhaps.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's. I think basically everyone's answered that question with that social skills being the one. So that's good, I guess. Okay, well, I think that was all I really had in terms of questions for you. Obviously, we have our Patreon questions now, so we've got a bunch of them this time. We've got fucking 5 in total. A couple of them you've answered when we first recorded this. So
Okay, I'll try to give a good answer again.
Yeah. We got a couple new ones though. So
Okay.
the first one being from Franknificent, our good friend. Do you think Bucky made UFO Crossing do it?
I think that Baki influenced UFO to do it, yeah.
In what way?
I think he blazed the trail of like just not answering the community's like calls for justice, and in the same way, I think UFO is doing the same thing right now.
Interesting. That's actually I was expecting just like a meme answer. That's an interesting answer.
But Baki owned up to it, so he,
However, I mean, people brought this up to me in the VC. Bucky owning up to his mistakes and making a whole like post about it and talking about it is kind of the reason why it's still a meme today. If he'd have just ignored it, I don't think it would be half the meme that it is today. So, that being said, why should UFO Crossing or the Spore Masons say anything about this situation if it will only kind of dig them a hole? That being said, you could argue that it's also their duty to do that, because not speaking out about it and, maybe publicly acknowledging it or publicly condemning it kind of sets a precedent that this is the kind of thing that you can get away with on 2B2T and, you're not going to get called out on it.
I'll tell you what. Regardless of if something is going to end up as a positive, you don't know that until you actually do the thing. And we don't judge people based off of the result. We should be judging people based off of the action, right? So I think Baki actually facing the allegations head on is respectable. I don't give a shit if a bunch of people meme on it still. I know anyone with a brain has to respect him more for the fact that he actually addressed the shit on a public podcast. So, yeah. And you know what? The people that matter probably do. I can tell you that. Because I, for one, I used to be like one of the people that was like gaslighting the whole Baki situation. And after he addressed it, Baki and I have talked in a voice chat after this even. I'm perfectly fine with him now. I would literally go and burn down one of these new fags' bases with Baki and throw a party. We're good now.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from that, we have I forgot who this is from. I think it's from it's not from Lazarus. I think it's from Waltz. If you woke up, so this is actually different to the question you answered previously. Right. If you woke up in the body of Pixelation's dad, or Pixelboy 113's dad, however you know him as, and had to live as him for the rest of your life, what would you do? The two rules being you're not allowed to kill yourself or Pixelboy.
Man, it's a tough one. I would probably try to teach him how to shoot up a school.
Oh my god. You can't be saying this, bro.
But what I would do is I would leave my fingerprints off. So I would probably go online, create a persona, reach out to Pixel Boy and teach him how to shoot up his school. Then when he does it, then he would at least be out of my hair and I could just fuck his mom for the rest of my life.
Jeez, I'm not going to comment on that answer.
Child.
Jesus Christ. Moving swiftly onwards, what are your thoughts on the idea of an infinite parallel universe wherein each universe is the exact same one but with a small difference?
Oh god. I think that's probably what universe we live in right now.
Oh.
So I don't think it would be much different.
So you reckon there's a parallel universe out there where you were Fitmc?
Yeah, and also where I was Hitler.
Yeah, true. Well, if there's infinite ones, then yeah, sure.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, last question. Oh, wait, no, sorry, there's two left. If you were stuck on an island with Solar, Hammer, and Ghost Mafia, who would you reproduce with? Bear in mind that the kids may be in danger.
Oh, Lord. All right, so there's this really based bird, okay, that I learned about. And basically, it was endangered. It was the only bird of its type left on an island. And apparently, if that is the case, then there could be a chance that even within one lifetime, you could reproduce on your own. So basically, what I would do is I would kill all three of them, and then I would hopefully just wait around, maybe pray to God a few times, pray to Allah if that didn't work, that sort of thing.
Are you a religious man?
No.
Okay.
And then, when I would pray to Satan, I don't give a shit. And then, after enough time goes by, ideally, I would evolve this trait, which is definitely real. You can go research it. I would evolve this trait, and I would just reproduce with myself and create an army of perfect people.
That's a pretty big brain answer, and I think the best case scenario, because you get to kill all those three people. Good. Okay, so the last one is by Lazarus. Is it, would you rather be British today or Jewish in 1943 for a day?
Oh God, I'm assuming that I'm like missing some context, but I feel like I would rather be German. Or did you say Jewish?
It's Jewish, yeah.
Oh God. Well, I mean, it'd be interesting. At least I might get to meet Hitler. That'd be cool.
I don't think you would get to meet him as a Jew. I'm not gonna lie.
You mean he isn't the one that killed all the Jews? Well, what the fuck have these people been lying about for the past 60 years?
Oh, that's true. He personally killed all of them.
Hitler did not kill the Jews, bro.
Jesus Christ. Then. Okay, well, that was all of those amazing questions. If you yourself want to ask a question like that, head to patreon.com/DigCast, links in description. And yeah, I think that's kind of all we got for you for this week. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm sorry if it was a bit of a weird interview. Maybe the pacing felt a bit off. It's because obviously we've recorded it before, so it was a bit we'd have the same conversation twice, which is a bit weird. But
I just got off work too. So
and I'm fucking tired. So my apologies if it was if I sound a bit dead inside. Hopefully next week's will be better. That's all from me. Please consider subscribing, liking the video, and commenting your thoughts on Forceken's views. And that's it. Any closing remarks, Forceken?
Circumcision is rape.
And I'll see you guys later.